Hello internet, back here in Oxfordshire. Bit of a miserable day today, but we'll crack on anyway. Got the jumper out. Seeing as I'm northern, I'll only put the big coat on if it starts snowing. What we've got here today, we've just got a job list. It's always good to make a plan, even if you don't stick to it. We'll see how much of that we get done today. So we've got a bit of cladding to do, get the roof overhang done, and then get the roof metals on, get it all nice and watertight. So, cladding on this building, we're using a British cedar tongue and groove. Looks very similar to red western cedar. It's just got a lot more detail, as in grain and knots. Still the same specifications, still smells the same, still looks the same, and it still lays the same. As you can see, it's a nice wide board. We've got a groove and then a tongue. So we'll be secret nailing this with 16 gauge stainless steel pins. So we're just going to do a bit more cladding now. As you can see, we've cladded most of this side around the window. So we're using this British cedar. We're just going to slip it into the tongue, making sure it's nice and tight. And with our pin gun, 16 gauge stainless steel pins, we're just going to fire 2 in each batten on the tongue. So this is a secret nailing, so when the next groove goes over, we can then hide them nails that we've just put in. So we left it a little bit long around the window there, just so we can then router it off once to open up the window. And then you can see we've got the bottom pieces in, top pieces in, and then around the window there, we're going to take a full board to cover the whole window. So we've got our full piece on now, which then overhangs the window. Take a measurement from the batten to the edge, making sure it's the same all the way up, and then just replicate them measurements on the front face. What that allows us to do, we'll pin on the front face, and that we know that's going to get covered by the window. So we've got to the corner of our building. So just gone over to our circular saw, cut down a thinner bit of cedar. It doesn't need to be perfectly smooth straight, as this will get covered by our corner detail. So we're just going to knock it in, flush it up with the bottom. We just knocked it all the way in, so now this corner wraps around nice and smooth, and then the gap down this side, that will get covered by our corner trims. So we've just moved on to the corner details now. So we've got this 0.7mm of metal flashing, coated in anthracite grey, and what that does, it just wraps up all the corners, protects the corners from any movement, and being anthracite grey matches the decking, matches the doors and windows, and the roof flashings as well. So you can see there, it's just sat over the corner. We're using anthracite poly pins as well, stainless steel, just so it goes through the cedar and doesn't mark it. We've drilled a 4mm hole just to allow a little bit of movement, just in case it gets a little bit warm, starts moving, and we know that it's going to stay flat against the building. So we'll just give you a close-up of the corner metals going on. As you can see, anthracite grey leather effect. That just wraps around the corner there, just held in with the anthracite grey poly pins, just all the way up to the top, and just smartens up that corner Right, so what we've just done here is the battening for underneath the roof cladding. As you can see, it's just been screwed up straight into the roofs, and we've just added a line of clear silicone just to give it that extra bit of grip. Left them a little bit long just so our hood light cables can just run along the front there, and then we'll wrap the whole thing up in our metal flashing. So we're just starting the cladding detail now. As you can see, we've just put a bit of cladding for the table saw with the 15° on, just so the angle of the roof closes up the bottom gap there. So then it's all nice and tight along the front cladding board, and then we've just pinned it in the tongue, and then we just face pinned it. Small enough pins that you'll never notice. And now we'll just clad out along underneath the hood, and then stop him to insert the hood lights into it. So we've just got the overhang of the roof cladding done now. Quite difficult to do on your own. A lot of non-BBC2 words came out. Then what we'll just do there is locate where we're going to put our little LED lights, and then just go through the cladding and then insert them. Overhangs of the roof there, ready to take the top metal trim. That'll just seal all that roof and then come down just 5 or 10 mil lower than that cladding line. So we're just on the side cladding now. We're just going to trim down the excess cladding that's overhanging, and then we'll put the angle on the cladding itself, and then that will be ready to take the side metalwork. That will just wrap up the overhang of the roof, and then all the way down to the back, hang over the back, and then hang into the gutter. So we're just finishing off the top timber work. We've added a trim all the way around the building there. As you can see, it just stands off the building. And what that will do is, once the top metal work goes over, it will create a drip edge, as the water won't be able to track back into the building. So we've just laid out one of our top metal flashings, 450 wide by 170 deep. As you can see, anthracite grey leather effect just to match the corner metals and the door sets. So what we've got now is our top metal flashing trim just on there. So it's just sat on that ridge, just comes along, sits on the support overhang timber, and then drops down. As you can see, we've just got a little drip edge running all the way down the building, and what that does, it just creates that seal along that top edge there up onto the roof. So we've got a bit of overhang, and that will cover the guttering, and then we'll just trim that bit of timber off just when we know the thickness of the guttering there. We'll just trim down this back edge, bend that into the guttering, and then we'll fill the gap at the back here with some eave fillers. So we're just going to finish off this roof metalwork now. We've got the same size metalwork for the front, and what we're going to do, we're going to cut it and then bend it around the corner. This alleviates any capping edges that we need to put on. We can keep the whole front metalwork and corner in one piece of metal, keep it nice and watertight. As you can see there, I've just drawn some lines. We've done a straight centre line, and then here we've just opened it up, so when we bend it round, we want it to go past 90 degrees. So we've just cut that gap out of the front metalwork there, running just to make sure to keep it away from the front corner. And then we've just transferred the mark round, and then we've just put a little slice in the bottom there, just for when the bend comes round it doesn't crease. So just on the back side here, we've just scored it along a square edge with a Stanley knife blade, a couple of times scored. That'll help it fold over as well, and then keep the corner nice and rounded. As you can see now, just folded it round, nice continuous corner, and on the inside, you know it's going to be sealed along this edge, then the bottom is overlapping, nice and sealed. So we've just put the corner up now. As you can see, it's just folding round nicely, keeping it a nice smooth edge. Our cut edge, we'll get that tacked down just so it's sealing under there. You can put a bit of foam tape, gum tape, bit of silicone, does the job just as well, just to seal that edge. And then we'll just get it poly pinned all the way round. So what we have on this metalwork is a join bang in the centre, facing away from the house, just so it becomes invisible. Once you get it all poly pinned down, it'll be colour on colour, so it'll be very minimal that you can see. If you do want it to blend in, you could always run a bead of coloured silicone down the join there, and then that will make it blend away. So, end of day 2 now. We've got the outside complete. Tomorrow we'll get the inside plasterboarded here, ready for the plasterer to come in, and then that will be it for the studio until the second fix. A nice little job, garden studio in 3 days.